I started recording while you're blowing your nose.
You smiled at the camera like The Office.
Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast, episode 723. Tim Kennedy, Joe Rogan, and the wife here.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? You're not muted. Don't worry, you can talk.
Okay.
But we got Tim Kennedy and Joe Rogan talking about, he was touching on the topic of sovereignty and freedom. And I think those are really big things. And I think what's directly linked to those two things is not just getting to say whatever you want and telling politicians to F off or do this or stick it wherever. It's not just that. It's also being self-sufficient. I think a bigger part of it is being self-sufficient. Because if you're self-sufficient and you're just away from everything, just doing your own thing and your family sustaining themselves and thriving, you don't even have to interact with anybody, let alone authorities, your neighbors, anything. If you just are able to be self-sufficient. So Tim Kennedy is talking about what he wants in terms of a school. Now, apparently he already has this school running. I'm not really sure, but the way that he explains this is really, really cool. And we're going to get into that. Are you ready, honey?
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about some homeschooling stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to show you guys some woke TikTok teachers.
Oh, gosh.
We're going to show you what Tim Kennedy has in mind. Then we're going to talk about homeschooling. And then we're going to show you what happens if you decide that you're not going to go with homeschooling. Basically, the consequences. We're going to get into that right now. Just want to show you guys, we got new designs, new Sold Not For Sale design. Boom, new design. Keep calm and do not comply. Please, if you don't buy the shirt, at least live by the sentiment. We got that at IamCoachColin.com for 10% off. I am Coach Colin, all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name. Colin gets you 10% off. Let's get to the Rogan clip right this second. Are you ready, guys? Let's do it.
To people externally will look at Save Our Allies in the middle of peak combat in a completely non-permissive environment, and they're like, "What the hell are you? What are you guys doing?" And it's an incredible group of disciplined people that have a process that has been perfected over now 20 years at the global war on terror, and they are doing the work that needs to be done. But those three things are still prevalent and evident
in everything. Everything difficult in all of life.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's but how do you get someone to subscribe to that?
I think they have to hear about it first, and that's one of the reasons why I think conversations like this are so important. It's because in everyday life, if you're working in an office, if you're dealing with regular people, you're not going to encounter this. You're not going to encounter these conversations. And there's going to be moments that people have where they do panic and freak out and don't understand why. How come I can't keep my shit together when I'm nervous? How come I can't keep my shit together in these critical moments that require me to stay calm and make good choices? What is wrong with me? Am I just a bitch? Like, what is it? No, you just have an undisciplined mind. You have an untrained mind.
Yeah, you haven't got the reps in.
You haven't got the reps in. Everyone needs the reps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as worried as I am about the future, at Apogee and at Sheepdog Response and at Save Our Allies and at First Responders Action Group. Like, I'm in all of these different groups where I see these young men and women that are on this train, and I know I'm not in a cross section of the United States right now that is really struggling with all of the problems of mental health and obesity and diet. But in this little group that I'm around often, I'm just so encouraged by the work and the discipline and the subscription to the process. Like last night in my jiu-jitsu school, I had 60 kids on our mat at one time. And I said, "Hey parents, everybody come into the classroom really fast. We're going to have a Q&A session about competition and what this next season looks like." Every parent stood up, walked in there. They had questions. Like, they didn't even know, but they didn't know that we're going to be doing a Q&A. They had pre-prepared questions that they were looking for an opportunity to ask the staff about, okay, how is coaching going to be at the next tournament? And I was just like, I love you people, like the parents to the Apogee families, because we take a totally different approach. We're a whole family approach to education. Like, if you subscribe to this idea that you can take your kid and you can drop them off at a place and you're going to get this amazing thing back, that you don't have any control about what they're being taught, you are just an idiot and you're a crazy person. Like, you send your people to Caesar, you send your people to Rome, and you don't think you're going to get a Roman back, like, that's what's going to happen.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
Our approach is there's a whole family inclusion here. It is not just our responsibility to train and to educate your children. It is our responsibility. So you are going to work out. You're going to keep a journal of your diet. Here is your prescribed reading list. Here are the books that your kids are going to be reading that you're also going to be reading with them. Like if your kid is reading it, then you better be reading it too. You'd be very appalled at some of the books that are assigned to children in public school to read. And I think if a parent actually picked this book up and it's like, and then Johnny took his penis and he brought it and it was erect for the first time next to his friend. You're like, what? This is for a fourth grader?
Right.
So this whole family approach that, this truly Socratic, this is not new. This has been around for a long time. And I'm so encouraged to see the activation, the discipline, the process, and the hard work from the youngest kindergartner all the way up to like the 60-year-old parent that's like doing the work.
It's so bizarre to me that a rejection of teaching like overt sexuality to young kids is somehow or another dismissed as anti-gay or anti-LGBTQ. It's so strange because you could never imagine heterosexual sex being discussed to 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds. Like this is how a man, chooses to have, sexual relationships with women, and this is how a woman chooses to have sexual relationships with men. No, that's never discussed.
That's wildly inappropriate.
Wildly inappropriate. But somehow or another, it's okay if you're discussing gay sex.
Yeah.
Like it's very strange.
It's not strange. It's wrong. It's dangerous. It's grooming behavior. If you're trying to broach any sexual topic with a child that is not of age to have sex, that is grooming. That is the definition of grooming.
Right, and grooming itself, that term is dismissed as anti-LGBTQ and whatever.
Which is
wild.
I love gay people. I do not. There's the idea about being American,
As do
right?
I.
Like, don't care,
Yes.
bro. Do anything that you want. You talk to my 8-year-old about anything sexual, hetero, homo, anything. It's wildly inappropriate. He's 8.
Right.
Why
are you doing that?
Yeah. There's one reason, and it is not for the benefit of
It's indoctrination.
That's right.
Yeah, and to say that somehow or another is homophobic, which is so insane. Like, how did that become reality, that we're dealing with this? Because this was not the case a decade ago, 2 decades ago. This is very recent in terms of modern society in this country.
I don't know.
It's fucking crazy. It's crazy. And it also, to me, it's so confusing that other people don't recognize that. And that people are they're so scared of being labeled as homophobic or being labeled as transphobic or anti-LGBTQ that they allow these things to take place under the guise of we're being more inclusive.
Yeah. It does hurt to be called, a bigot, to like, you're racist or you're anti-LGBTQ. Like I don't like those things said about me, and I know that they're completely wrong. But they're going to lob that unfounded accusation at me because I'm going to stand on a principle of protecting my children. And would I rather take, there's a great photo of a dad standing over his children, and on his back, he has like all of these darts. And the cartoon was, and the darts were named, it was Disney propaganda, it was LGBTQ indoctrination, it's racial discrimination, it was 69 Project. It was like every single thing that they're attacked with, just relentlessly every single day, and the dad's just sitting there taking it, and that is our job, is to take it. So you can call me any names that you want, but first and foremost, my position is to protect my children and to raise somebody that will be a contributing member of society. My partner Matt Boudreau at Apogee, he was in public education. Like that was his origin, that was his start. The genesis of his journey where we collided was he had went and started the 2 largest Socratic schools in the United States, like hundreds and hundreds of students going to learn just the Socratic approach. And he thought that there was more that needed to be done on the full family approach, where the dad and the mom and the brothers and the sisters, everybody's on the same journey to become the best versions of themselves. So Matt and I collide with both of us working at the exact same thing, with the same ideas, with the same approaches, with the same love for America. And like the end result is dads and moms becoming those things where they will be the stopgap between all of this hate and all of these dangerous ideas. And if you're not doing that, like if parenting's not hard, maybe you're not a good parent, because parenting is hard.
It's complicated.
It is. And like it should, my wife and I last night sat there for an hour and broke down like next school year books that we're reading, like for an hour on what was a Tuesday night. We're just sitting there like hammering through. Like, were there a lot of other things I'd rather be doing for an hour with my wife? For sure. But highs and lows on Sunday, my son had lacrosse practice. It was cold. It was rainy. And his whole entire team, 3rd graders, out there shivering and and showing grit. And was like, my heart was exploding with pride. And I never said you had to stay out there. I was like, hey, practices today. We get there, the coach was in shorts and he was just, his fingers were white, his cheeks were like bright red from the cold, but he stood there and he took it and he showed grit. And then all of these third graders followed in suit. And I was just like heart exploding with pride as my son demonstrated like this will follow through with this thing that I've committed to do. And it hurt me to watch my son be cold, and it hurt me. And this is why parenting's hard. And if it doesn't, and if I didn't care, I don't think there's any greater insult than indifference. And to be indifferent to your kid is just like the worst thing you could be as a human.
Yeah, it's so selfish. It's a crazy way of thinking. But so many people are just so occupied with their own life and they're so busy that they just don't have the time to have conversations with a kid or even think about it. It's like, they're going to school. That's school's job.
Anyone busier than you or me?
Elon.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Elon. He always brings up Elon Musk now. Now he's friends with him. He always brings him up.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's Tim Kennedy. That's what he's thinking about school. I like it. When I hear this whole thing, I like it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are doing exactly what he said you'd be an idiot to do, which is just leave them with someone and expect to have this amazing thing back.
Yes.
Right. So it's a little. That's why I kind of rear towards homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because I like that a lot better. I think you're pretty smart.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're going to do all the work. No, you already know. I would want to teach them about integrity and values, like the same coaching programs that I put people through. I would want to put them through. I would be creating programs all the time for them to go through.
Yeah.
Habit building, habit formation, all of that good stuff. Fitness,
Yeah.
That would be a huge, huge thing in my family. If you guys don't know, my mom was a bodybuilder, so fitness is a huge thing in my family.
Yeah, and I'm good at the science and math and reading and writing kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to be able to do that. I know it'd be really hard,
Of course.
but I feel like at the same time, I don't want to say it's supposed to be this terrible thing, but I don't think hard is always bad.
Yeah.
Like some
good things in life are difficult.
Yeah, the greatest things are hard. You know what I mean? It's like
having kids in general is difficult.
Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock right now. We're making this video.
Yeah.
We got to go to sleep soon. We just had dinner. I'd rather be laying on the couch eating chocolate with you. But like you got to do the hard thing.
That clip you were showing though was insane.
Oh yeah. With I'm going to be doing that from now on. If you're still with us here, I'm going to be doing that from now on. I'm going to try and find things that are complementing to what Joe is talking about with his guests, and I'm just going to splice them in there just to give you guys more context, because it's fun I enjoy watching Joe just talk. I do. I've been doing it for years. But, I like to just splice things up, mix it up, make it a little different.
Yeah, it was wild.
But that's a real thing. And you got to think about that. There was, 30 kids in that class.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's not the only class they went to.
100%. But I was going to say there's probably only 10 parents in there.
Yeah.
The rest of the parents were just like, my kid's going to school.
Yeah, you don't really know.
Yeah. They were probably like, oh, there's going to be a reading going on.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Yeah, it's fine.
I doubt they even did that. Like, if you think back to, like, when I was in elementary school, anytime we had, like, an assembly.
Yeah, you weren't notified
exactly.
about assemblies. Yeah, true.
As long as you're still within school grounds.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, because whatever you were learning in the assembly was, kind of curricular.
Yeah.
You would think.
And they brought in, like, I don't know, outside people to talk to us and do presentations or plays or whatever.
For sure.
And that's not approved by the parents.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not within the curriculum either, so they just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I have a friend who does, Joel, he does bullying.
Mm-hmm.
He does seminars on bullying and stuff. Nobody ever notifies because, like I was there filming for them a couple of times. So, yeah, no one gets notified of that.
No, of course not.
And at least that's a good program, and I know he's a great guy. Like,
yeah.
He's very, very, very Christian. He's like Ned Flanders. Like I always joke with him. He's like Ned Flanders. He's like Rod and Todd. Like him and his brother. Like one's a pastor,
so
one
cute.
of them. They're just so into Jesus. But you never know who it could be.
Yeah.
It could easily just be that. That person, woman. I assume. I don't know. I don't even know when it comes to that.
I know. I don't even want to say too much about it.
I don't know. I have no idea.
No.
But whoever that was. That could end up, teaching your kids.
Yeah.
They could end up teaching.
And regardless of the choice of clothing.
Yeah.
You don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Like as a person.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing, right? Like they're bringing that person in. They don't know that person at all. They're just what's happening is they're just trying to virtue signal.
Yes.
And be the people who are like, well, you know, because if a parent asked about this, it was an assembly, it was a reading about gender equality.
Yeah,
or
and inclusivity.
Inclusivity, exactly. And what parent's going to be like, I want to know more. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Every parent's going to be like, that's great. And the school's trying to virtue signal. The parents are trying to virtue signal. And it ends up being just bad for the kid. The parents and the teachers walk away feeling great.
And the kids are probably like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, the kids have no clue what just happened. For sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Because some of those kids looked like young, like 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah. What does a 3-year-old need that for? But I mean,
No.
Either way, like within this topic, that's why I'm saying like homeschooling. Like people look at me odd when I bring it up. I'm like, oh, I want to homeschool, and right away they're like, oh, that would be so tough. But it's like, I don't know, what's tougher?
Yeah.
You know, when you actually, if you care to look at it as a parent, if you care to look at what's going on or what could be going on in the school, you know, what's tougher? Like knowing that that's happening and you can't control it and you don't know how it's going to affect your kid, or just being the person that teaches your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really believe too, like a lot of inclusivity teaching is done just in the real world.
Yeah.
Like you see lots of different people of different cultures, different skin tones, different, I don't know, backgrounds. Or if you see like 2 men out together and they're a couple and they're holding hands, like you can have that conversation if your kid asks about it.
Yeah, everything. I mean,
to me, that would be like, I grew up in like a farm town.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a single black kid in my class.
Yeah, no.
To me, that's equivalent to like literally bringing in a black person.
I was the same. I was actually the same. I was like the
Yeah.
only black. It was me and my brother. Then my brother graduated out of the elementary school, and then it was me and a bunch of kids that were like, you know, brown, like Afghan and Pakistani and Indian, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like that was, and then one guy was Spanish. That was it. That was the diversity.
But you would never bring in like a person of color and parade them around. Like
No.
it seems wrong
No.
on that level as well.
I was gonna say, when you're saying the inclusivity teaching, the inclusivity teaching happens naturally with the teachers. You just have a black teacher.
Yeah.
You have an Asian teacher. You have a gym teacher who's a woman, or you know, like, yeah, it just kind of happens naturally. And then I don't know, that exposure should happen naturally, like you're saying, just from being in public.
Yeah.
And again, even as I'm saying this, I want to take that back and just kind of say that's up to the parents. Let the parents do that.
That too.
If the parents will figure it out for their kids.
Yeah.
You don't have to force that part on them. You don't have to force being anti-racist on your kids and all of that stuff, right? Oh, I forgot to load up the pictures.
That's okay.
We were just at a bookstore.
Yeah.
And there was a book. What was it called? Feminist Baby?
Yeah, the feminist baby.
Feminist Baby, and then the Anti-Racist Baby?
Yes.
This
It
is
was
crazy.
absolutely, I was like browsing through all these baby books and then picked them up.
BLM fist in the book.
And it actually, there was like a picket sign in the book
Yeah.
that said,
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so crazy.
it was strange. And feminist baby was just being like a
Yeah, it was just
terrible child.
Yeah. It was just being a
It's
loud
like,
kid.
Feminist baby will throw her toys.
Yeah.
Feminist baby will throw up on you.
Basically, feminist baby will do whatever they want. And imagine reading that to your kid and then having them do that. Is that the goal there?
I don't know.
I don't even get it. It's so weird.
And I was
It's
saying
so
to you
weird.
as well, I hate the books that are like encouraging kids to be kind of whiny and bratty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, that made it seem like so bad.
It was so bad. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Anti-racist baby was the weirdest thing.
It was very strange.
I did post it on YouTube on the channel.
Did
like, because
you?
you can post
the
pictures.
picture?
You can post pictures. So I just posted a picture.
Go take a look, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's so weird.
It was, yeah, that was very strange because that was also in the 0 to 2-year-old section.
Exactly.
It's wild. What is going on?
Yeah. I was reading Sonic the Hedgehog books at that age. I wanted to be Sonic the Hedgehog. That was my inclusivity. He's a blue guy. He was a blue
Yeah.
hedgehog.
Yeah,
That's
he
what I
was real
wanted to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, homeschooling. I think
Yeah.
that's the way to go. I think that's what Tim is describing as he's describing this school. It's almost because he's saying he wants the parents included and they're
Yes.
reading and they're all included. It's almost like a homestead version of school.
Yeah.
Like the same way you'd have a homestead community and everybody's coming together. It's kind of like the school version of that.
Exactly. Because he was saying a whole family approach
Mm-hmm.
to education.
And what he's saying is pretty much just a couple of steps away from homeschooling,
Yeah.
basically, you know?
Which also, too, like, we have to acknowledge that to be able to do that
Yeah, you
is
got to have
very,
time.
very privileged.
Yeah, you got to have time.
Exactly.
Well,
and then if you have many kids,
Yeah.
do you have to read all their books?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say, I don't know if it's privileged because it's so hard. You know, you're making a huge investment into your family,
Yeah.
but you're also making a sacrifice of sorts because, you know, I guess you could say it is a sacrifice to get to be that parent who's just on the couch and doesn't look at their kids' homework and doesn't inquire into what's going on at school or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're putting a huge investment into your kids,
For sure.
you know? So it's like it's privileged in the sense of if you have the time where both parents can kind of be very present.
Yes.
But, you know, even when we step into that whole thing, I'll still be doing this. You'll be doing this along with me. We'll have to just find the time,
Yeah.
you know, and you'll just have to push for that. And then getting them outside a lot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you got to do what you got to do, right? You're trying to raise a proper adult,
Yeah.
you know?
A well-adjusted little adult.
Yeah. And you don't want them to be like the generation we see coming up. A lot of these Gen Z,
Oh my
it?
gosh.
A lot of these Gen Z kids it's pretty odd to see them acting the way they act.
Yeah.
You know? Really, really weird. Like I brought up my niece. My niece wouldn't even
I was going to say, even within our
yeah.
family.
She wouldn't even call a baby a girl or a boy.
It's a baby.
Yeah, she just kept saying it's a baby. And I was like,
Okay.
jeez, all right. Do you think someone's watching you? Do you know who your uncle is? Do you know what your uncle does on YouTube? Don't worry. You can say all sorts of things right now.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, let's get into it. Do you want to go into your research first or do you want to see the woke teachers first?
Let's do some of the research.
Okay, go into some of the
And
research.
then we'll just do the shock of the woke teachers because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I didn't let you hear it.
No.
I was playing it very low. I don't want you to hear it
I
yet.
saw some of the images and I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's this article from Psychology Today that I found about homeschooling in general with like long-term outcomes for kids. And they were talking about in the first paragraph how many more homeschooled children there are just from 2019 to 2021.
For sure.
Just from the pandemic and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it went up like almost 2 million, like it almost doubled in the amount of kids that were homeschooled.
Wow.
Yeah, in the United States. So it's currently at like between 4 and 5 million children.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's great. You know why that's really great? Because the worry all the time that I've always heard of with the homeschooling is people always say like your kid won't get to be socialized. But if there's enough of the children that are homeschooled, it's like you could start forming groups.
Yeah.
And being like, let's have these meetups and, you know, like.
And you could still put them in like clubs and after school programs, athletic things.
Yeah, combat. I'm gunning. We have a girl. I'm gunning for flag football. I'm
okay with that.
I'm gonna hope that she's into that. You know, you have to start it young. The same way they're doing with feminist baby, I'm gonna make like football baby. I'm gonna make like
Flag football baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a customized book. Football baby does her squats.
That's so
Football baby deadlifts a lot.
funny. I like it. That's a good book, actually.
Right?
That's like fitness baby instead of feminist baby.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
Yeah, but there's so increasing amounts of kids, and obviously they're going to take a look at test scores and standardized test scores so that they can kind of track how these kids are doing. And it said for academic performance, children in a structured homeschool program with organized lesson plans tend to score higher on academic tests than children from conventional schools, while children in unstructured homeschool environments without organized lessons plans tend to score lower than conventional schools.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because if you think about like if a parent is homeschooling kids, that's like a one-on-one teacher.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where kids in like convention. I remember I think I was in 3rd grade, and we had like 33 kids in the class.
Yeah.
And at the time, the educational cap for that region was like 28 kids. So they literally had to bring in desks from other classrooms, and we were all packed in there like sardines.
Yeah. I remember.
It was crazy.
I remember stuff like that would happen. I was a special kid. I was one of the special kids. I was like a short kid bus. Short kid bus.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. There you go. My point is proven. I was always in the special classes, so there was always like 8 of us and 1 teacher.
Oh, really?
But again, even still, that didn't do us any good because it was like a very slow way of doing it, and it was all the worst kids. They just packed the worst kids together in a class.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't distract the rest of the population, basically. But yeah, of course, even if you're in school and you're unstructured, you're going to do terribly.
Yeah, of course.
Like homeschooled or not. You know, like the real thing that's going on when they talk about stuff like this is what's going to happen is they're going to try and push people away from homeschooling because that's a huge system. Like imagine just in one state, 20 million kids are being homeschooled. It'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess we have to go to, like, teachers would have to go to other states to get jobs.
Yeah. And then shut down schools, and where would that money go?
Right. And then hopefully the parents would have like enough money, like, we'll take the school.
That'd be great.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Perfect.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I wonder how much a school costs.
I don't know.
That's the type of stuff I'm going to do when I have money.
Because I always see people on Instagram like buying abandoned schools or like firehouses and converting them to like apartments.
Yeah. Do that with the school.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. When I have money, those are the things I'm getting. I'm not getting Bugattis or anything. I'm going to make community centers and get schools and see what I can do with them.
Community chicken coops.
Yeah, and farms. That's the main thing you need. You need community centers so they can all go and like be a part of different things.
With like an athletic center.
Yeah, like a hub there. And then you need schools, and then you need farms. You get enough people to go and do that, like times hundreds of thousands of things. That's incredible. You change the whole world.
Yep.
Easy. Yeah. Hundreds of millions of dollars easy, but easy. What else you got here?
Well, it also says at the end of the article.
Where's that? Oh, here? Limitations?
Yeah. So limitations of the research. So I found this kind of interesting too. And it said, so there's also the barrier of this information because usually people who homeschool have maybe a higher socioeconomic background and a higher educational background.
Okay.
And they say specifically test scores from homeschooled children who have more educated mothers tend to do better.
True.
Because I guess it's usually the mother who's doing the homeschooling.
Yeah, that makes sense. But also, I guess if you're more educated, but if you have a structure and you have curriculum of sorts, like I remember you were saying, I'm pretty sure we were talking about Utah and how Utah had this curriculum
Most
that you were able to access.
States do.
Yeah, so then if you have that, even if you're not, like, let's say you're a high school dropout and you have that and you're going full time at like just, training your kids, you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially if you put the time in, right? Because if you're super educated and you're just kind of doing what you know, like, that's good. That's great. Your test scores are going to be high. Kids are going to be smart, everything like that. But I don't know. I feel like anybody of any educational background could push their children to do better.
Agreed. And I think sometimes people who are very highly educated as well just have the skill of being educated.
Yeah, the regurgitation.
Yes.
Yeah,
so they're very good at studying and they are very good at test taking. That's a skill that you can learn.
And you could prep your kid in that same way.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually mean
you're smart.
Yes. And I'm sure we all know a ton of people who did super well in school and you talk to them and they sound like an idiot.
Oh man. I remember there's one girl in school and she was clearly dumb.
Yeah.
And for some, I'm like, and she's not in the special. I'm like, I got to go to this class and she doesn't. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Because she was clearly like not all there.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing.
She probably did so well. I have this theory that they do really well because there's nothing else going on in their head.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Somebody's just telling them stuff.
Yeah, so they're like, okay.
If you have like a bunch of creativity bouncing around in your head, it's hard to concentrate on
no,
anything.
or if you're challenging anything or asking why,
Yeah.
then you can't just memorize things.
Yeah, exactly. You could memorize things, but the person who's telling you to do it would have to get past that barrier.
Yeah.
Of like you needing to know why. They would
For
have
me,
to,
it's always the why.
they
I
would have
need a
to-
why,
they would
or
have
it
to-
won't stick.
They have to break through that and then be like, it's kind of like showing you like, I'm smart enough. I know why you're doing this, and this is why you're doing this, and I have all of this, so please do it.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of show that time and time again.
Yeah.
So what else?
That's what I had on homeschooling. Let's see those teachers. This is the alternative, apparently.
This is the alternative. This is what happens if you decide, hey, I'm not going with the homeschooling stuff. I like how it is. I like my weekdays off, This is how it goes.
And I know there's like a million amazing teachers too. But
Of course.
then even if your kid gets one of these in their entire school career, that's too many.
But you know what? You say that, but there's not a million. There's not a million good teachers.
Well, I hope there are.
That's the thing. There actually isn't a million. Like every person out there, right? Every person out there, maybe yourself, I know myself, there was 1, 2 teachers that were great, that were like, wow, this is an amazing person.
True. I have I think 3 that stick out in my head as being great.
That's it. There's Miss Agard and Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
That was it. No other ones. And Mr. Anderson was a French teacher. So we didn't even interact. He didn't interact with all of the kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was in charge. It wasn't like he was English and met everybody. So he was just great. He was just a great dude. But other than that, nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
My favorite was grade 5. I had Mr. Gazin. And he was like this, I don't know, he was probably 55 or 60. He was quite a bit older.
Yeah.
But he made his own class called Critical Thinking.
Oh, really?
And it was literally just like...
He would be canceled right now. He'd be like Jordan
Usually.
Peterson.
It was literally just things it was little things with your hands. So we had to make marshmallow and toothpick structures. And then he would try and put weights on them and see. So you could build with your hands and see strength of things.
That's wild.
And little puzzle things. So he would do this every once in a while. And then at the end of the class, he would take us outside and he would make us run a lap.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't gym class. We would just have to go run because he knew it was good for us.
That's so crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd be arrested.
He was amazing.
He'd get arrested today.
Best guy.
Wow. All right, let me play this first one. Let's go.
In an elementary school rather than a preschool, and in preschool you're just teacher your first name, but in elementary school you're Mr. or Mrs. last name. And so I've been trying to think and decide what my teacher name is going to be, and I don't want to be Mrs. last name. I've never wanted to be Mrs. last name. So for a while I thought Ms. last name would be okay, but I don't know, I didn't love it. And then I was okay, how about Ms. H? Ms. H would be okay. But then last night I was thinking and I was Ms. H just gives the vibes of a woman, and that just doesn't. And so I was Mix H, that just Mix H just sounds
stupid.
Mix. That's what they go by. Mix. So a lot of the teachers that feel that they're non-binary, instead of Miss or Mr., they go by Mix. Which is odd because when you're non-binary, you're neither. But
H.
they go with
Just call her H.
Mix. It's very confusing, to say the least. Here's another one. Here's another one, real quick.
So my students call me... Why did you whisper it so quietly? She got shy. It's Mix Miller is what they call me. Though I'll say, I had a teenager call me Mr. Luke the other day, and I kind of loved it. What do you think about Mr. Luke? Yeah. You like that one? Okay, I might switch it up to Mr. Luke at some point, but for right now, some non-binary, we've been going Mix Miller, and the kids have been getting it pretty well. Has it been hard? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little hard, but they're working on it because they love me.
Because they love her. Because they love her.
Him or her?
I don't know. I shouldn't even have said that, right?
Mr. Luke.
Yeah, right? Yeah, see, then that's the weird thing. Somebody called them Mr., and they loved it. But then if it was like some guy, if it was like a white guy that was like middle-aged, he was like, hey, mister, she'd be like, whoa, what's all this? Like, you're misgendering me. But because it was some kid, I don't know. I don't get it.
And then just to like switch as well. So you had to tell all your kids to call you Mix Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And then what, you're just going to change to Mr. Luke?
Yeah.
That's very odd.
They can do that. That's how it goes. It's fluid.
Weird.
Don't be a bigot. It's fluid. it's and that's the thing. These are what the teachers are like. They're young. I keep thinking about it. I'm like, all the teachers are younger than me.
Yes.
Like all these people that have been on, they're young.
Yeah, for
they're
sure.
like mid-20s. Just fresh out of whatever schooling they went to.
Yeah.
It's so odd. It's so odd. And the wild thing is that's the first thing that they're worrying about. Like, what are the kids going to call me?
True. And not doing a great job as being a teacher.
What about just being a teacher and just your curriculum? Like, how am I going to get all of these kids to like be past 80% in my class?
Yeah.
How am I going to do that? What do I do? Instead, you're worried about,
And that takes up brain power for the kids too.
Yeah. They don't need
like
that.
having to comprehend what you mean when you say mix.
Yeah, right. And then you have to explain all
Exactly.
that.
It's ridiculous when you could be talking about, I don't know, Shakespeare or something.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. And you know what? It's, again, back to that whole Gen Z thing. They're afforded the ability to do that with kids. Because I know when I was in high school, if some teacher did this, I'd be like, wow, what's her car look like? What's her car look like? Everybody would be like, who is this person? We gotta see her after. Can we get eggs? Will the lunch lady give us eggs?
Yeah.
It would be crazy. That'd be a horrible class for
my
her.
high school, it was dead fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. At my high school, I remember I got to the high school, and everybody was like, high school had a bad reputation, and then the vice principal walked with a cane, and it was because he got beat up.
Wow.
Yeah, the kids beat him up. They were doing like initiations, and he was like, stop those initiations, and they were like, okay, and they just like initiated him.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a bad school.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was supposed to go to a much better school because I grew up in a good neighborhood, but my brother was like, nah, you're gonna go to this school.
Building.
Yeah, basically. He's like, I want you away from all those people. I was like, all right. So I listened to him. Good character building, exactly. All right, we're going to get into this one. So basically, this woman is showing something that she's playing in her class, and then the clip goes to what actually is being shown. It's going to be the actual video of what's being shown in her class. So let's check this out.
I totally get that. I totally get that 100%. The thing is, I don't care. I really don't. I don't care at all.
That's really cool. So you're gay?
I am. Good question.
You curl your eyelashes?
I did. I use an eyelash curler. But yeah, your previous question, I am gay. I came out of the closet when I was 21 years old.
What's coming out of the closet means?
Coming out of the closet means that you're gay. It's something that gay people have to do.
Do you have to be gay to do drag?
No, anybody can do drag. Drag is for anybody and everybody who wants to put on a fun costume and get up on stage and entertain people.
There you go.
That's weird.
Right? So that's what she was showing her class.
They're going to make these kids think that, like, if you're in a Halloween costume, now you're in drag.
Yeah, something like that.
Put on a fun costume and perform.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting what they're doing. You know? I realized, was that volume? No, the volume was fine on these ones. But yeah, that's the woke teachers.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. That's why I want to homeschool.
Huh.
It really is. Right? I've told the story here before, but like my buddy, like Moore, you know Moore, when he came, he told me that they told his daughter she couldn't say no because it was a negative affirmation. It's just insane.
I would lose my mind.
Right? It's just so. And then like she was telling him what she's allowed to drink, not allowed to drink, or masks and this and that, all these different things that should be his choice.
Yeah.
To impart to his kid, were all of a sudden these choices are being made for him.
Yeah, I keep seeing on Instagram as well, people are getting like passive aggressive notes from teachers sent back in their kid's lunchbox saying, please send a healthy lunch. Like if they send their kid cookies or a bag of chips, like a treat.
Wow. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's so crazy.
That's amazing.
They're like,
And-
I am feeding my own child. Thank you.
Right. And it's so wild to even say that because, you know, growing up for me, like my mom didn't have like any money. Like we used to eat corned beef all the time. Like that was like the thing we had. We ate corned beef and peanut butter and bread and like margarine. And we'd make like toast with sugar on it. So if someone did that to my mom, first off, my mom it'd be a very big
that
problem.
would be bad.
Yeah, it'd be very bad. But second of all, it's like you don't know the person's
Situation.
financial
Yeah.
situation, and you're just deciding like, hey, this should be healthier.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, homeschool it up. If you can't, man, figure something out. I think there should be something. Maybe we should work on this. I don't know if we have time. If we have time to change the world. But people should be getting together and being like, this is what we're going to teach our kids. You know?
Yeah.
It would be great if, imagine like 5 sets of parents that are friends could get together and it's like, you know, one day this parent is going to do something. The next day it's another parent. Next day it's another parent.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, 5 hours or something like that. 4 hours, whatever it has to be. And then each one teaches something based on curriculum that you can get a hold of, based on things that they're actually good at,
Yeah.
you know, trades that they're, whatever their professions are. I don't know. And
Yeah,
just,
trade stuff would be great.
yeah, right? And just go like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to do that for a while. I want to get someone who is good with their hands and get a bunch of younger people together and like have them build something with someone.
Yeah.
I would love to do that and learn myself because I'm not good with my hands, you know?
Say, go see my dad and build a shed.
Yeah, right? Like something like that where it's a much older person because that's how tribes work, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you'd learn in the tribe would be from the older person. And that's why they were treated with such respect. You would learn that, you know, think about a bunch of young kids learning from this older gentleman, you know, like I was telling you, or maybe I didn't tell you, but when that's missing, you know, it's a real problem. Like Maor, like my buddy Maor, like he loved meeting your dad because he doesn't have a dad anymore. And his dad was really funny. And your dad was really funny.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like a thing.
That's sweet.
He really liked it. But like, think about how many young guys are missing that fatherly connection, you know?
Yeah.
And what they could learn from an older gentleman teaching them stuff. Like one person in the comments reached out to me. We were talking on Instagram, and he was a blacksmith.
Oh yeah.
Older
you mentioned
gentleman.
that in California.
Yeah. And he was like, you could come for a lesson. But like, imagine that. Imagine getting a bunch of young kids and they're learning about blacksmithing. And, you know, they may not take that as a profession or anything, you know, but just to learn that.
Yeah.
Just
and
to
have that
be-
respect.
Yeah. Just to be around that older person and see them doing that and learn that. It'd just be amazing, you know? Even your brother, you know? Like fixing something, fixing a car of some kind.
Yeah.
Because that's something that actually every young person should know how to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things. It's so many,
Yeah, my brother does crazy stuff.
right? Like that should be happening a lot more.
He has a diesel truck engine and a boat.
Yeah. Right? And it's, I don't know. It just seems like that's missing. I really want to do that. I really want to do that. Like when we get our home base, like that's the first thing I want to do. Like I want to, obviously this channel, and I want to do interviews, and I want to, you know, tackle some of the bigger problems that are actually happening, not just focusing on the Middle East and whatnot. But I would love to like go to a bunch of different schools and like be like, okay, let me teach integrity. Let me teach a lesson in integrity,
Yeah.
leadership, integrity, stuff like that. Like it's so important. I don't know. But we'll be homeschooling our kids by then.
Yep.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll have to bring them along.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, right? Well, you'll see.
Socializing.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Just stick them in the audience.
These are the unfortunate kids that have to be in public schools.
Oh, jeez.
They don't learn anything like this, son. You have to understand.
Yeah.
They have reading time with...
And they'll be shocked that we were both public school kids.
Yeah, right? Jeez. Real public school. But anyway, what else you got? Anything?
Yeah, that was it.
That was it, guys. Like the episode, subscribe. Like I said, there's a new design in the store. Go ahead and grab yours while you can. And that's it. That's it. If you're still with us right now, by the way, thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to us. And let me know in the comments. If you're one of the people that got to this point, let me know in the comments. I got to start doing things for people like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention at the beginning, but we're trying to gather up emails. We have no idea what's going to happen on this platform. We're trying to get emails together because, we got to start being able to connect with people other ways. So trying to get emails. Follow me on X, and I'm out.
Bye.